Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, wherever you might be in this wonderful world of ours. I am so conscious of the fact that I get subscribers from all over the world in different continents and different time zones, not only in the UK, but across America, Australia, New Zealand, and and other parts of the world as well. So it's nice to see you. It's nice that you're subscribed to this channel. Thank you for. My name is Seamus Corry, well-being consultant and mental health training practitioner, and today is all about in the spotlight. And I just want to say thank you for all your subscription. Thank you for all your following. Thank you for all your kind comments that you leave when these episodes go out. It's absolutely wonderful to hear your comments, so keep them coming. If you've got friends, family who would like to subscribe to the channel who haven't already done so, I'm trying to get to the magic finger of 200 followers by the end of the year. I'm at 145 today. So if you want to subscribe today and don't miss out on this wonderful conversation that I'm going to have and all the conversations that I've had in the Spotlight series. My guest today, you don't want to miss this conversation because I just said to my guest that I've been 4 years waiting to sit down with this amazing human today, and I'm so happy that we finally get the chance to spend some time together. My guest today is a founder and entrepreneur of a wonderful project called Smilebox. She is also a mum. She is also a chief executive officer, or CEO for short. She's also a trustee. She's also a coach. And she is also a really strong, positive mental health advocate as well. I don't know how she fits it all in. I think we'll unpick that when we get to chat. But it's my pleasure, honor, and privilege, and real delight to have on in the spotlight today Donna Fisher. Donna, good afternoon. How are things where you are this afternoon? Is the sun shining?
A lovely week. If anyone's watching this in the future, it's the week of the heat wave.
Woo!
UK, it's been glorious. But yes, lovely, and thank you for having me. Lovely to be here, Seamus. Thank you for that very nice introduction. I will pay you later.
You're very welcome. I have been preparing it all week, Donna. I have been preparing it all week, so hopefully it meets the mark for you, Donna. I know a little bit about you, and we first connected, God, nearly 4 years ago now on LinkedIn.
At the beginning, wasn't it? Early days.
Right at the beginning, I think, when you were still working from home, and uh, scaling up your idea and scaling up your project, and I connected with you right from the very beginning because I just loved the program right from the beginning. I love the project. I love what you were trying to do. And for those who don't, could you first of all tell our wonderful audience who Donna Fisher is? I know I've given the headlines, but put some meat on the bones.
Absolutely. So, hello everyone at home watching this. I am Donna, 47 years young, getting on a bit now. Live near the Midlands in Worcestershire, and I'm a single mom to an amazing 17-year-old called Elijah, who lights my life up every day. And yeah, I run a business called Smilebox, which I launched 4 years ago, and have pretty much been in and out of corporate roles most of my life with various challenges that have often taken me away from corporate to go back into businesses, only to go, I'd like to be paid on the same day each month and the same amount. I'll go back to corporate. But yeah, 4 years ago in 2021, when we first met, took the plunge to launch my sixth and last business. This is it now. I love what I do. So real passion project, as well as being there for kind of commercial gain. There's a lot of heart that goes into Smilebox. So I launched this 4 years ago, and yeah, it's been a whirlwind ever since. That's me in a nutshell. I've also got ADHD. ADHD was diagnosed since actually I started Smilebox a couple of years ago. So that's, I guess, a big part of my identity at the moment in terms of still figuring out how that affects me or gives me challenges, or has some areas where I can celebrate successes of those neurodiverse ways. But yeah, that's me.
Oh, awesome, awesome, and do you know, Donna, I love the story behind Smilebox. I love how it all started. In a way, it was a very painful period
Yeah.
in your life, but from pain through healing grows, and do you want to share with us how the whole idea of your passion project
Yeah.
Smilebox came together?
Love to, thank you. So there's pretty much three main drivers for Smartbox. I'll start with the easiest ones first, rather than the more emotional ones, but they're all as equally important in my mind. So the first thing is that as a person, from the youngest of ages, I can always only ever remember getting a lot of joy from gifting to others. So I'm the sort of person that loves buying presents, whether it's Christmas, birthday, or no reason presents for people, cheer up presents, choosing the gift wrap, choosing the bow, making it feel really special and thoughtful as a gift. And I'm the sort of person that could probably watch a stranger open a gift and get some joy. So Smartbox for me was very much tied in with that joy that you get. And I think we've lost a lot of the joy of gift giving in a digital world. So I remember when I was younger, I had a pen pal that went off to uni. I met her at college, and we'd send gifts to each other in the post. Every other week. We take it in turns. We still got the letters, which is amazing because they're hilarious when we read them back. So we'd send letters and gifts to each other, just silly things in the post, sometimes things that could go flat in an envelope, like stickers. Other times, a little missed toy or something that was a bit bulky where we'd have to go to the post office. But we got so much joy from it. And that stayed with me for life, really. She's still a really close friend of mine. In fact, we go for coffee every other Friday, which is tomorrow. Ooh. And all week I get excited about seeing my friend Charlotte. But yeah, so I love gift giving. That was the first reason. The second reason was that I set Smartbox up at the end of the pandemic. We'd come out of the pandemic in terms of COVID, but we were still finding our feet and ways of working in the corporate world in terms of hybrid working. Still, a lot of people not quite well enough from long COVID and so on. But what I found was there was a gap in the market for certainly those that were managing businesses or big organisations or medium size, in fact, even small, where people weren't working in the office. And there was that real connection piece missing in terms of people coming together, people, enjoying collaborative working, a lot of people feeling quite isolated. So there was a gap in the market because of that, but also my experience from being in the corporate landscape was very, very hit and miss, really. But predominantly, my feelings were that in a lot of the businesses that I'd worked in, there was quite a toxic workplace culture. And that culture, was from the smaller, I guess, subtleties of just not looking after your staff quite as well as you could, or not supporting staff, to the bigger issues around, things as extreme as perhaps bullying, or actually aggravating your employees' mental health with how you treated them. So I found it was always very hit and miss depending on what companies I work with, but also in some of the bigger companies I work with that have got sort of 2,000-3,000 employees, you could be on one department working for one set of managers, having a great time, really looked after, really supportive ways of working, great colleagues, workplace culture and ethics where they should be. And then you'd go one floor up to another department and you'd have a complete opposite situation. And, it's very much quite often the culture within the business or the leadership style or skills, perhaps what training people hadn't had, or people had become managers because they've been there a while. So I was really frustrated at the lack of perhaps reward and recognition, the lack of appreciation, certainly how staff were and weren't treated. So I thought, right, what could I do to kind of combine my love of gifting with this gap in the market, so that staff really, we know when staff are happy and healthy, they're more likely to stay in work, less likely to be off sick. They're not going to jump ship and move to another company. And actually, productivity stats show that the harder we work as a business at looking after our staff, the harder our staff will work for us. So it's just
Absolutely.
a no-brainer. So I thought about whether I could, introduce Nick for that reason as well. And then the third most emotional reason is that my now 17-year-old son at 9 years old and had a really, really tough time with physical disability, with bullying as a result of orthotics on his legs. So he'd wear serial casting or orthotics, which meant he stood out, obviously, because they're quite obvious. And he was really badly bullied at school. So bullying from older kids, some really actual ill treatment from teachers as well, which was horrifically shocking for me, that teachers in that profession, there to safeguard, support children and their educational journey, could treat someone that's 9-year-old like that. And unfortunately, it becomes so bad that I found a Google search on our family laptop at home where he'd ask the question, what's the best way to kill myself? And for me, I didn't really understand at that point. While I had an interest in mental health and understood it to some extent, I hadn't even thought for 1 minute that I needed to have taught my child about suicide prevention or those overwhelming feelings around poor mental health. And I was just really shocked that at 9 years old, you could contemplate A, life being so miserable that you didn't want to be here, but B, that you even knew there was such a thing as having a choice. So I left my corporate job at that time, 2 years, to get them through that really dark period, took them out of school, did some homeschooling, applied to get them into a new school because unfortunately where they were, they absolutely weren't being supported by school leadership team or their policies around discrimination, bullying, behaviour. What they should have been doing when the bullying was happening was talking to their children about what's appropriate, what's not. And instead they isolated my child and took them away from those other children and bullies. The headmaster was very certain that because he had quite a well-reputed school, there isn't a problem at my school with bullying. That doesn't happen here. Rather than just going, this is a problem, let's deal with it. He was very reluctant to admit that there were any improvements to be made. So it was really important that I supported my child at the time to get them settled into new school, mental health back where it should be, referral to CAMS, other signposts and support to try and get them on track. And so once they were well enough to go back to school and it got some support, I was in a position then where I was unemployed. I'd obviously left my main role to care for him. And really thought, what can I do? I need some flexibility for appointments, for medical support. We're just in the process of getting an autism diagnosis for him at home. So that was something that was going to need some help as well. I didn't feel like I could go back into corporate workplace and every time he perhaps needed me, was having a tough day or needed a medical appointment or I wanted to do something nice for us, I could say to my boss, I'm going to be off again today, this has happened. So I was like, do you know what, perhaps it's time to think about my own business again. So I kind of combined those three things. And I guess I've really felt at that time, I've got a role here in educating others around the importance of mental health awareness, suicide prevention, what we can all be doing to better support each other. And whether that's, peer-to-peer, friends and family, whether it's our neighbours, our work colleagues in the workplace, there's so much more we can do collectively to come together to really make an impact. And I think I felt like I could combine those three things to basically launch Smartbox, which essentially is a box of wellbeing treats that goes into a business. It can either go in as a kind of box for staff to share, or everyone can have an individual box, but as well as 6 products that help with wellbeing, whether it's nutrition, better sleep, hydration, anxiety and stress management, low mood management. There's some neurodiversity stuff in there as well. But as well as the 6 products, it's also got resources in to help with all of those things. So Smartbox was born on a whim, I guess. I didn't know how well it would or wouldn't go. The idea was initially I was toying with whether I go down B2B route and sell to businesses to give to staff, or do I think about a subscription box for people to have a monthly care package through the letterbox every month? And I chose the former. did try subscription boxes, didn't really take off. I think there's still a big association with guilt around self-care, actually, Seamus. I think a lot of people, especially mums, busy in the workplace, they've got some spare money or some spare time. They'll quite often pop it into their family or think, I can't go and do this, that, and the other, because, So that didn't work as well as the business to business. And yeah, it's just been amazing. It's been flying. So, like you say, 4 years now, and
Wow.
loving it, not without its challenges. I think entrepreneurism and running your own business is glamorized, and it's, you never switch off. It's a hard job and hard work at times, but I really do love it. I love being able to make a difference, and that it's not just, yes, we're here for profit. It's a business where I'd like to make some money, but there's so much more to it. Like, we give back a lot. We see people struggling on LinkedIn, and we'll DM them for their address and send them a little care package, complimentary. We'll do random acts of kindness. We'll give stuff to charities. So it's a real, I feel like every day as a team, we're making such a difference. And if like this week, for example, we've got, probably, I was looking out of the warehouse, probably got about 2,000 boxes going out this week.
Wow.
Probably about 2,000 boxes. And, if 10% of those people open those boxes and feel good, or feel like there's some signpost in there to help with mental health, or there's a little message saying, do you know what, keep going, you've got this, or helping them with some, links to perhaps Samaritans or some other companies that give them some support, then, oh my gosh, we're making a difference. And then there's the people that don't necessarily need to pick me up with mental health because their mental health's in a good place. So it's preventative, as well as reactive. It's just generally going to bring a burst of positivity to people, and I love that. That's me.
It really is, Donna, a box of smiles, but it's also a conversation starter, right?
Exactly that. Yeah.
So you're giving somebody a lift, but you're also directly engaging somebody in thinking about looking after themselves a little bit more, but also thinking about, if they are struggling, here's the support and here's the mechanisms you can use in order to get that support.
Exactly.
And as a mental health trained practitioner and as a wellbeing consultant, I'm your number one fan, right? And I just have to say I'm your number one fan, because I love your products. I love what you're doing. And you are spreading smiles across the length and breadth of this country. Give me the number, Donna. Give me the number in terms of where you're at.
So we've got a tracker where we track the number of smiles delivered.
Yeah.
And we are at, as of today, 75,602.
75,602 smiles, which is absolutely incredible. What's going to happen when you get to 100,000? When you going to happen when you get to 100,000? Is there going to be fireworks and all that sort of stuff? Oh, you should.
What I've told the team, because this isn't about me, this is about an amazing team that comes together to deliver what we deliver. I could not do this on my own.
Yeah.
But it's really important to me that I recognise everyone in the business that's helping make this happen. So quite often we have a little joke when we're doing well, or we've got a good order in, or we've got, we're making these smiles happen. I'm like, right, as soon as we've got to a certain number, or we're doing really, really well, we're going to go on a all expenses paid team trip. You can come, actually, Seamus.
Woo!
We're going to Ibiza for a few days, rest and respite and retreat by the pool. Might do a bit of product sourcing while we're there, because obviously we can go and have a look at some bits and pieces. But yeah, we're going to go and have a lovely chill. But yeah, it's important to celebrate those wins, isn't it? Because I think we're in the world we're in today, we quite often forget. We're wrapped up in the news and the negative stuff, and it's really hard to sometimes focus on the positive. So yeah, we try and find the bright times here and create them every day as a team, and we're quite good at that.
You're light bringers, right? As a team, you're light bringers. You bring light and hope and smiles to people, but also, I think we all have a role to play in trying to reduce that stigma around mental health. And I know you mentioned toxic workplaces and workplaces and departments within workplaces that aren't working right, and there's a whole ostrich and head in the sand kind of approach that we don't have a problem here. Mental health doesn't exist here. We don't have poor mental health here, but the reality and what people might be presenting with will be completely different, right?
Absolutely. And obviously, you only know what's been talked about.
Yeah.
There are so many people that won't share their mental health struggles still because of that stigma that you've talked about.
Yeah.
And I'm mental health first aid trained. In fact, all of us are. We've all been on suicide prevention training. I think that's really important to me that as a team we've got
100%.
that knowledge to help when we're at events or speaking to people, because we regularly have people when they know what we do and start talking will be coming just to have a look at the stand, and we'll end up in tears talking about someone they've lost to suicide or how they're feeling. So we need to be really equipped to deal with that and to support ourselves. But just as importantly, after what I went through, we need to be ready to support our friends and family if that happens. And I think we should all have this training almost compulsory in education sector. But yeah, that stigma is still massively there. And you only need to look at the suicide stats, which I know with your experience and how keen you are to make a difference, you'll know that they're going up, not down. Yet we're meant to be, we're talking about suicide more. We're opening doors more for people to have those conversations, but there's still, we need to do so much more to normalise it. And I think for me, one of my areas I'm most keen to make a difference in is around the male mental health stats, because that figure of 75% of suicides being men. And you've got certain sectors like agriculture and construction where men are 7 times more likely to take their own life, or marginalised sectors. There's a lot to be done there, and I think it's so upsetting that we've still got people with that man up narrative, with that big boys don't cry mentality. And there's nothing more strong in my mind than a guy saying to their loved ones or their doctor, do you know what? Things are feeling tough. I need some help with this. If you're trying to make yourself the best version of you can be, by some self-development, by getting some support, by speaking to others, that is absolutely not a weakness. But I think we've just conditioned, haven't we, in the past? I mean, like I say, I'm in my late 40s. I think, if you look back to the 80s and 90s, as women, both now and back then, we've been conditioned to share how we're feeling, to talk about our struggles, to go for a coffee with the girls, to go visit the doctor. If you remember back in the 80s, we had all the female glossy magazines, and there was always a Dear Deirdre or a Dear Angela problem page, and we were encouraged to share exactly how we were feeling. And we've got the complete opposite for men, haven't we? And that's just so unhelpful. And I think I don't know what it's going to take actually to other than us all keep trying, and awareness campaigns. There's a lot of men's walking clubs and circles, and there's loads of charities and kicks out there that are really helping, but there just needs to be more of it almost. And maybe it's a generation thing. If I look at my son's age groups, or those up to about 2030, they get it a lot more. They're much more comfortable talking about their mental health. I think we've got to wait for our age group and older to die off before we start, getting it a bit more. But yeah, if I can contribute to that with some of the education that I put within the boxes, or when I deliver a workshop around mental health, then, I've done a good day at work.
Absolutely. And certainly in my work and in your work as as a supporter, advocate for mental health, I suppose, and we're all in the business of hope. And I quote my my amazing friend Paul Vittles, who is head of Tours Zero Suicide Society. And that's his organisation, and they're working actively, and his organisation work actively in partnership with others to to try and bring those numbers down, but also try to begin to conversations, but continue conversations around mental health, so it no longer becomes unusual for someone to and it's normalized. And one of the other things I look at is continental culture. In America, my American colleagues say, it's traditional to have a dentist, a doctor, and a therapist.
Yeah.
It is. It just, it's part of it's part of American self-care plans, right? It's normalized that you have a therapist if you need to go and and get some help. Why is it why is it such a stigma if somebody says, oh, well, I have a counselor, or I have a therapist, or I'm going to get some help?
Yeah, absolutely.
There are some real barriers. But what I also see, Donna, a smile box drives a drives a bulldozer through that stigma and gets to the heart of the issue really, really quick, which is probably a wonderful gift that smile box brings to people. It starts conversations, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's what we're trying to do. And I think because most of the companies that we work with, there are quite a few. We have like a minimum box order of 100, but a lot of our orders and companies will order sort of 2, 3, 4, 500 boxes.
Mm,
And what we try and do is create not just an individual box to go to one person that makes them go, oh, wow, this is nice. But exactly what you said, we try and create an experience that gets people talking. It's a conversation starter. So what we'll do, we've got a couple of products that we put in that help with stress relief, but they've got different themes. They're around better sleep. There's another one around focus for those that get a bit tired in the afternoon or struggle with energy management or distraction if they've got ADHD. There's another one that's all about the theme is it's a balm that's called Love with some aromatherapy oils in to help with emotional regulation. That's great for menopause. So what we try and do is bring in different theming within the box so that people will be opening the boxes in the workplace and go, oh, what have you got? Let's have a look. Oh, you've got the sleep balm. Well, do you know what? I'm struggling with sleep at the moment. Do you want to swap? Or let me know how you get on with that. So it's what we're trying to do is put products in there that talk and almost like it's drip fed and it's at a lower level where it feels safe for people, but where people can go, okay, here's some of the things that I'm experiencing or things I'm feeling that or challenges that I've got that are getting in the way of me being happy or me having relationships that are feeling in the right place. And the more we are comfortable talking about how we're feeling, the more we feel safe to do it, because actually 9 times out of 10 that conversation will go fine. You'll get a good response. We'll get some support. We'll maybe get a follow-up in a week that said, oh, you're telling me you're having problems. It's just, how are you doing this week? And I think it's not being too scared to go, how are you? And I think some of the education that like you and I would do with our workshop delivery or programs in workplaces, it's about showing people or giving people the skills to have that conversation and ask those questions safely, isn't it? And I think sometimes people have been worried about what they might hear as a response. If somebody says, well, no, actually, I'm not okay. I've completely had enough of being alive. Without that training, you'd probably go, what do I do with that? And actually, you don't necessarily need mental health first aid training or suicide prevention training to know what to do with that. It's about being human, isn't it? And it's about doing your best in that moment to give some support or signpost. And I think, it's about, just trying to normalize it. We talk about, we got a broken leg, we'd go to the doctors and we'd tell everyone, I've broke my leg or I've sprained my ankle, or comfortably talk about all of our physical health, but without mental health. And some people are naturally more private and you've got to respect that. But for a lot of us, if the reason we're not talking is because we don't feel safe to, or we're worried about the repercussions, then that's something we've collectively all got to try and address as a nation, isn't it?
Absolutely, absolutely. Did you know? And I suppose part of that is sharing our own experiences, and I know as part of the training I deliver and the workshops that I deliver, I take apart the PowerPoint slides and I actually put meat behind the bones and actually share my own experience. And your experience as well, Donna, has been, difficult at times. And I know, you came out, but you got a diagnosis of ADHD very late in your life. And um, how has that been for you? Come to terms with your own neurodiversity, and how does that impact upon the business? I presume it's both positive and negative, but it's also I'm keenly aware trying to ensure that you look after yourself as well, and not be overloaded and not be overstimulated and all that. How has that been for you?
It's been tough, actually. And I think, again, that's okay to say it's been tough.
Yeah.
People that wrap it up as superpowers it's a lovely gesture. And there are some positives, but as someone that struggles with ADHD, and from the moment they wake up to go to sleep, which I feel I do, struggles with it, that can get a bit grating. So yes, there are positives. I have some amazing ideas. I have great energy and stamina. I've got a deadline that's due on Monday. I could start it on Sunday, deliver it, pull an all-nighter, and it looked like I've been working on it for months, and it's brilliant. And there's lots of skills like that make me fun to be around, quite, creative. It can give me great problem solving skills. So all those sort of things that you'd need in a business to thrive. Yeah, probably as well why I've had 6 businesses and sold a few. And, as ADHDers, we're quite known to be entrepreneurial and set up lots of businesses. But yeah, no, there's absolute challenges as well. And I think I really struggle with task management and organisation, despite naturally being really organised and loving systems and loving creating tools that are visual to help me stay on track. I just get very easily distracted. And my ADHD, the main presentation for me is in hyperactivity, mental kind of load that means I struggle to switch off. Even when I desperately want to switch off, I can't. And I think for me, that's caused a few issues and frustration, because I'm here telling everyone how to practice self-care, relax. And I totally believe that they should.
Yeah.
And I know the benefits, but it's something that I really struggle to do myself. I want to do it desperately, painfully so, can get quite emotional about the fact that I can't. But that pace being so high can make me feel quite unwell, can make me feel close to burnout. It can mean that I'm like, one of my biggest traits, and I've become menopausal in the last 3 years, and that can exacerbate symptoms. But like, I'm so forgetful, Seamus, it's ridiculous. So, we have a bit of fun with it here at work, but some of the things that you'd probably take for granted, just don't help with running a business at all. And I'm a bit rubbish at opening posts and doing admin. I procrastinate. What I find is that I kind of scan the room, especially in a room full of people and there's a lot going on. I kind of almost tune into every conversation or everything I can hear, see and feel, whilst trying to focus on that conversation with one person and give them my full attention. And having to zone all that out can be really challenging. So, for example, like you deliver your mental health training sessions. When I deliver one of my workshops, I'll normally book the day after out of my calendar to recover.
Yeah.
Or on that day of the workshop, I'll need a really blooming good nap because I'm just like trying to stay focused, not talk too quickly, trying to engage takes so much kind of mental, it's hard work. So yeah, it has been hard. And I think I'm hoping to get onto some medication, which I think will really help me. And I think for me, it's the fact that this on button that I've got with my ADHD, I want to turn it off and I just physically can't. So I will find stuff to do for my brain when I really haven't got the energy or time to do it. And my brain will create, like, I gamify stuff. So, for example, here's quite a funny example. And some of this stuff, when I first started talking about my ADHD to people, I remember having a conversation with my auntie and said, oh, I do this, blah, blah, blah. I described a few things. And she just like burst out laughing, looked at me like I was a crazy woman and went, really? You do that? I went, yeah, doesn't everyone do that? You do that, don't you? She's like, no. But I'll do things like, when you're in the service station, getting your coffee on your road trip.
Yeah.
You need a bit of caffeine and dopamine. You're in the service station, stop off at the go to the bathroom, sit on the toilet. On the back of the door, you've got the posters advertising insurance or whatever. If I'm somewhere like that, and no matter how hard I try, I struggle to stop this. Or if I stop it, something else will happen similar. I'll go, I wonder how many letter A's are in that poster, that flyer. And then I'll go, I bet there's 15, say. And then I'll count the letter A's to see if I'm right. So that kind of mental stimulation happens naturally for me constantly. Or I'll be driving around counting lampposts, and it can make me sound pretty crazy. And and talking to some other neurodiverse people, it presents so differently, ADHD, with different people in terms of which type you've got. But yeah, mine's inattentive and I've got the hyperactivity. But It's hard. I can struggle and I can get really kind of tired and run down. And I think being a single mum, I've been a single mum for quite a long time now, since my not so little one was 5. So I've been pretty much single for most of the last sort of 10 to 12 years since I got divorced. But I think being a single mum as well and managing the load of a child that's quite complex and needs a lot of support, that alongside running the business can really kind of take its toll. And I'm quite good. I'm an NLP practitioner, so neuro linguistic programming. I've got some coaching experience from that qualification. I love NLP. I use it sort of daily at work and at home, everywhere, in fact. But I think that's really helped me with the emotional side of things. So I'm quite good at my emotional regulation. But I think then for someone that's good at that, it comes out physically, doesn't it? Some of the stress comes out in tiredness,
Yeah,
in in
exhaustion.
burnout. Yeah, in
Yeah,
as soon as you go on holiday, day 2, you're ill for the whole holiday because
yeah,
your body's gone, oh, you've stopped.
yeah.
I'm not very good at switching off, and I get quite tired and run down. But it's me, and I'm a huge empath. Sometimes more strongly than I'd like to be. Like, I feel a lot of what other people feel and experience and care a lot. And that can get in the way of sort of my self-care and my energy. But again, it's me. And I think I've come to the kind of realization that I need to stop fighting some of these natural traits, because there are benefits and what makes me me. And actually,
Absolutely.
being too kind, which can be criticism from friends, from colleagues, from family, oh, you do too much for everyone, you're too kind. Blah, blah. And at first I go, oh, I've got to stop being like this. And about a year ago, I thought, well, no, I haven't,
No, you
because
don't.
it fills my cup up. It makes me who I am. And
Mm.
sometimes it means I'm a bit too busy. And if it does, I am getting better in the last 12 months at saying no.
Mhm.
I'm not going to do that, or I can't do that, or I've got to think about my energy. But generally, yeah, it can be a challenge, but we've all got stuff going on, haven't we?
I do,
One
but
way or another.
Donna, I think you're amazing. I absolutely
Thank you.
think you're amazing. You're an inspiration to me on a daily basis, and I don't know how
So kind.
a positive effect you've had in terms of the work that I do, because as entrepreneurial as we both are, it's sometimes really difficult and really lonely on that road, because you're running the business. The pressure is on us as entrepreneurs, isn't it, to put some meat behind the bones, to make this program work, to make this project work, to make this idea work, right? So we'll invest in that, but also being able to take a step back occasionally and just look after ourselves. That's
Yeah,
sometimes the hardest bit,
yeah,
because there is that kind of self-care guilt, right? There is that self-care guilt where I don't have time for it. I should be doing this, I should be doing that, I should be here, I should be there. But actually the place you should really be is right here, looking after yourself. Because one of the things I've come to know, and I'm going to be 56 this year, and I think to some degree I've been entrepreneurial my whole life since about the age of 12. And I've always had these mad ideas about having my own business, albeit there was that little bit in the middle for about 8 years when I went off on a completely different tangent to and became a Roman Catholic priest, and then left and all that kind of stuff, and that's a story in its own right. But I've always been creative. I've always been entrepreneurial. I've always been passionate about mission, vision, value, and purpose, and I think that's what uh, aligns me so much to you, Donna, because your mission is clear, your vision is clear, your passion is clear, your purpose is clear, and your values are clear, and and when you've got that down pat, then just you create an energy, you create an aura, you create a field, you create a vibe, you create a culture that radiates around that, right?
yeah. Thank you.
So you're absolutely inspirational. I think
Yeah, you too.
Donna Fisher, MBE, Donna Fisher, OBE. Why not? Why not? Why not? What?
Oh, you are funny, Anne. You make me
Why?
laugh, Seamus.
Why don't we begin to recognize? We recognize people in the field of sport. We recognize the people in the field of entertainment. Why don't we begin to recognize people
The
in the
mental
field
health.
of
Yeah.
mental health support and
Awareness. Yeah.
mental health advocacy? there's some amazing people like yourself out there, Donna. So I'm starting a campaign today, Donna Fisher, eh, OBE.
I love it. We'll go together and collect them on the same day.
Get in. I can't. I don't think I can have one though,
Why?
because I'm Irish. I'm not a UK. I'm not a UK citizen. Yeah, I get it. I think Bono some years ago got a medal from for services to entertainment, but it was an MBE or an OBE or all that kind of stuff. It was some kind of.
By the way, there'll be a loophole somewhere, Seamus. We'll
They
find
will,
it.
but I'm definitely pushing you forward, Donna. I'm
Bless you. You are sweet.
definitely pushing you forward 100%. And I do hope you get to that magic number. I think you will get to that magic number. I think, with the
All right.
with the work that you're doing, with the positive ripples you're creating in the corporate world and throughout the UK, I think there is even more a need for smile boxes today than
Thank
there ever
you.
was, right?
Thank you. I think so.
Because I know you started at the end of COVID, and would you say we're still trying to find our feet?
I think so. It's changed
Yeah,
forever, hasn't it?
yeah, it has. It has, and some people are lost in the milieu of hybrid and flexibility and home working and working,
Forgotten.
and
Yeah.
yeah,
Not everyone's got a nice family at home, a little office, and some people, live alone and they're very isolated. And we know like loneliness is a cause and contribution to suicide as a
it is.
factor.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it's completely different, isn't it, to 10 years ago?
It is, and we weren't built to be hybrid. We weren't built to work in isolation. We are social beings. We are social human beings. We are meant to be in environments where we have that human connection and
I agree.
doing what you do, Donna, and the way that you and your team do it. You break that isolation. You reconnect people with themselves and with one another, and that's absolutely amazing. And hats off to you. So, what's next? What's next for Donna Fisher other than the OBE?
Other than the OBE, I would like to write a book. Perhaps you can give me some coaching on that. Seems you're a bit ahead of me on that one.
Yep.
But yeah, I'd like to write a book this year. Got a rough idea what it's going to be about and how and who it's going to support.
Excellent.
So that's on the list. What else is here? We've done quite a lot this year already, so I think I actually need to slow down a little bit and do some delivery. I'm really good at coming up with ideas, and luckily the amazing team I've got around me will do the executing, but I need to get a bit better at rolling out some of these projects. We've got loads of plans for Smartbox, so watch this space, as they say.
I'm watching with excitement as I continue to watch. I'm like your I'm like your number one fan, but I'm also like
You are.
I've just been. I feel as if I've been with you from the beginning, and
You are.
really rallying you from the beginning. And your boxes are now included as part of my kind of self-care, well-being brief. And I've said to organisations, get out there and speak to Don and the team and get some smile boxes for your team. It's just a real honour and privilege to be with you on this journey, Donna, and to have the opportunity today to talk to you and just to, I suppose, put a flag down, put a marker down that this is who we are, this is where you are, this is what Smilebox is about, and onwards and upwards, right? Onwards.
Thank you. Yeah, and thank you to you for championing what we do and I do from day dot, and being there in the background. And you make such a huge difference yourself, Seamus, with the work you do. And you inspire me every day. And I see people on your posts that have an affinity with you, and you've got such a magic way of how you deliver and how you share such an important message. So no, absolutely, hats off to you. So we need to do a podcast when you're the guest. Perhaps we turn it around for your 30th podcast. Why don't I host you?
Let's do that. Let's do that.
Yeah. That is the magic number, because you've done so much too. So make sure you take time to remind yourself of how amazing you are.
I try to, if I'm allowed, on a daily basis to just mark that. Yeah, it's an amazing journey we've been on, Donna. Right, and thank you for those beautiful words, because Yeah, it just humbles me that when we're aligned in terms of our mission, vision, value, and purpose, then we get incredible people into our lives like you and the real team I have around me. So I appreciate that. Donna Fisher, we're out of time. We're absolutely out of time.
Yes,
Can you
it's
believe
gone
that?
quick, gone
It's
very quick. Thank
it's
you,
gone
Seamus.
very it's gone very quick. I wanna celebrate where you are, Donna. And for those of you who want to know more about Smilebox, where can they find you, Donna? Where's the best place to get you? Where's the best place to reach out and contact you?
Space is probably LinkedIn. I'm quite frequent on there in terms of posts. I try and do a little bit of thought leadership and a few posts to get people thinking about what they can do or sort of observe what's going on around them. So definitely LinkedIn, just either Smilebox or me, Donna Fisher. And then we've got a website where people can find out a bit more about what we do as well, which is www.smile-box.co.uk.
Wonderful. Donna Fisher, I wish you well, my friend.
You
Uh,
too, Seamus.
I follow eagerly on a daily basis, and
No,
I'm
I love it.
I'm rooting for you to get to that magic number. I'm absolutely rooting for you, and I wish you well in terms of the book. And absolutely, you can have my, a few grains of wisdom in terms of how best to do it. And I'm still learning the process as I go through as well. So maybe we can combine and
Brilliant.
collaborate on some of our
Joint
shared.
book launch.
A joint. Hi, how good would that be?
Yeah, it would, wouldn't it?
How good would that be? Oh my God, you're putting thoughts into my head now. Woo! Um, I'm buzzing. I'm buzzing with my next idea. Donna Fisher, I wish you well.
Thank you, Seamus. Thanks for
And
popping my podcast cherry as well.
oh yeah, this is your
Appreciate
first
the
time.
first one.
Oh my
I've been waiting
God.
4 years for someone to ask me. Finally,
Well,
yay!
the door's open now, and may this podcast be the first podcast of many you will do.
So,
Many you will do.
enjoyed it. Thank you.
And listen, I wish you well, my friend, and have a wonderful day.
You too. Thanks, Seamus. See you soon.
Bye. Bye. Bye.